Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. This video, we're going to touch on a piece that I think will be very, very disturbing for all parents, especially parents of children in school. It goes to show how the establishment in this country is promoting the grooming of children and is protecting, by law, the identities of those who groom. When you have an adult talking to a child about sexual matters, and that adult is not the parent, and that the content of that conversation is kept secret from the parent, and that secrecy is maintained by a court of law, and where the adult who is talking to that child about these sexual matters, their identity is kept secret and they're not identified by order of a court of law, then you know that the establishment in this country are quite happy to legalise the sexualisation of children. They are grooming your children, and they're doing it openly and in their eyes quite legally, and you have no recourse. Even though they're your children, the state is saying it's quite acceptable for other people to groom them and to talk to them about sexual matters that you may not agree with. And there's nothing you can do about it. Even when this woman fought for 2 years and finally took them to court and lost. We're going to look at this story, and this goes to show the state of this country, the moral and ethical pit that it has become. Here goes. Now, this story is about a woman called Claire Page. She has 2 daughters. They're both at school. And she wanted to know what the school was teaching her daughters in sex education lessons. They don't call it that anymore, but whatever it be, whatever they call the lessons. And the school refused to tell her. And she demanded to know, and they still refused to tell her. And so she ended up fighting this for 2 years, as I say, that she went to court, and they're still not telling her. And it isn't just her, it's every child in the country. Why are they so secretive about what they're telling your children? Why are teachers continually hiding from the parents what they're saying to your children? I've said this before in other videos, that the biggest groomers are teachers. They're the ones who are having these secret little chats with children about sexuality. These are the ones that are telling junior school, 7, 8, 9-year-olds about masturbation techniques, front and forward, front end and back end. They're teaching children that it's okay to be found attractive by anyone of any age, and they're telling children that shh, this is our little secret, don't tell your parents. And that's the teachers doing it. They're groomers and peas, we know that. But then there's all the other teachers who aren't whistleblowing, who aren't highlighting that. The fact that they're not standing up and making this public, that this is what's being taught, that this is what's being said, this is what strangers are doing to your children. They're going along with it. They're fellow travellers. And that makes them just as guilty. It's no wonder they want to go and work with children, is it? Anyway, we're going to go in here, have a look at this piece, and it is quite shocking. I'm going to say it's absolutely shocking piece. All I wanted to know was what my daughters were learning in sex education. 2 years and 1 court case later, I've been branded a bigot, and the parents are still aren't being told. So this woman is now being branded a bigot for wanting to know what her children are discussing in school. She wants to know what an adult stranger is saying to her child, and she's the bigot. No. We'll reverse that. She's wanting to protect her child from PDs and groomers. That's what that headline should be. She's not a bigot. She is a protective mother doing the right thing. We've got to think of it that way. Claire Page was both incredulous and wearily resigned when the email finally dropped into her inbox. From her solicitor, it contained what Claire hoped would be a vital legal milestone, giving her, and by extension all other parents, the right to receive copies of exactly what their children are being taught in school. Their lesson plans, she hoped, would be as readily available as, say, attendance records or textbooks. You might think that this would already be the case. Government guidance certainly suggests it should be. But as Claire discovered, it isn't. No, it isn't, because the courts decided otherwise. The courts decided it's quite acceptable for schools to sexualise children. It's quite acceptable for strangers to sexualise your children. This is what the courts have decided. Concerned by her 15-year-old daughter's reports that contentious theories were being taught as fact in sex education lessons, among them the suggestion that we are living in an unacceptable heteronormative society, Claire had asked the school for copies of the slides on which the lessons were based. And as the Mail reported last year, she was refused time and time again, leading to a near 2-year-long fight, which ultimately took Claire to court. But in a decision that has consequences for all parents, the email Claire received that morning set out the judge's ruling that the school was entitled both to refuse to publish lesson slides in order to protect commercial interests and refuse to give the identity of the teacher due to data protection concerns. So what the court has decided is, as a parent, you have no rights when a stranger is talking to your child about sex. You can stand there and watch a grown adult stranger sexualize and groom your child, and the courts have said you have no rights, and that adult has the right to groom children. Aren't we living in a great world? There is only one way of dealing with this. Every single parent goes up to the school, demands to see the lesson plan. If the school refuses, you remove your child from that school. And if every parent did it, you have the day of action, and you keep the children out until the school relents. And that's it. They will lose. What we have to remember is we are many, they are few. And it is absolutely important that we show that we will not tolerate strangers grooming children. And we will not tolerate the court, the establishment of this country, saying that that is perfectly acceptable. Anyway, she continued. In essence, she was prioritising, this is the judge, she was prioritising the commercial interest of a third-party education provider over the public interest of parents to know what their children are being taught, and the privacy of a teacher over safeguarding concerns. You don't know who this teacher is. You don't know what that teacher is saying to your child. That teacher could be a complete fucking paedophile grooming your child for whatever ends that teacher desires. And you have got no rights. And the court has decided you have got no rights and that the teacher must be protected. The courts in this country are now openly protecting groomers. Welcome to Clown World. Anyway, she said, I think the majority of parents, I'm not going to read all of this, it's quite long, but she says, I think the majority of parents are in the dark about how radical the culture has become in schools. They are. And this is why I do these videos. We need to get this out. We need people to know what is going on in the schools. We need people to know what these teachers are and what they are doing to children. They're teaching basically theories raised by mentally ill people, and they're pushing it as fact, and it's wrong. And it's no wonder that they want to get in. It's the likes of Stonewall want to get into schools to screw with children's minds, because it's always children. These people are always targeting children, and we know why they're always targeting children. They have a fascination with children. And we also know that the trans lobby are, was it 10 times more likely to be in prison for sex offences than any other section of society. Government's own figures, that's open. That is beyond doubt. That's a fact. And so you're getting this pushing there. And it's no wonder also how many girls are wanting to transition to be boys. There's no support. And then all these children, and we're talking thousands, that are launching a court case against the NHS over Tavistock because they were pushed into trans treatments, the gender reassignment, and all this, sterilising children on an industrial scale, and now suing the NHS in a court class action. It's going to cost the NHS billions, and all because the likes of these teachers, these groomers that are allowed to teach children, are pushing this crap onto children. They need to end it. Every school, every lesson must have a camera in it pointing at the teacher, pointing at the front of the class. You don't see the children, you see the teacher, and you can hear and see what is being taught. You can hear and see what they're putting on the blackboard, everything. Every lesson open, and every parent has a right to log in and see that lesson, and hear that lesson, and see what is going on with their child. And if schools don't want that, if schools want to be secretive, you have to ask why. Why are they so secretive? Why do they not want to tell you what these teachers are saying to your children? There can only be one conclusion. It's because they know that if the parents knew what they were doing to the children, the parents would be there with pitchforks and burning torches. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it does go on, and it's just highlighting this, and it's more of the same. I will put a link to this article down because it's a very long article. But we need to be aware that this is happening. And this woman here, this is Claire Page with her 2 daughters, has had to go to court and then had to hear that the court sides with the groomers. We need to change this world. We need to change this world fast. Otherwise we are sinking into a mire of disgusting degeneracy. I'll stop now and I'll come up. We need to be sure that the people who make the decisions, the people who represent us, the people in authority, are not ponces, perverts, pedos and predators. Unfortunately, it appears that that's what we've got. The very fact that the judge came down on the side saying that it was acceptable for this to happen seriously puts in mind that the judge is one of these. The judge is a groomer. The judge is pro this. Every school, every teacher, unless a teacher stands up, unless the teachers stand up themselves and say no and whistle blow, you've got to look at every single teacher as a potential predator, groomer and pede with your children. Because they're not the ones maybe that are doing this, but the ones who are doing it are definitely there. But the ones who aren't saying anything are definitely there as well. Why do they think this is acceptable? As a parent, would you want a stranger on the street sexualising your child? And if not, what would you do about it? Why would you allow it with a teacher? Why are the teachers saying, shh, our little secret? Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and if you possibly can, home educate your children just to protect them from the peas in the school. Bye.